power of this group is such that if every one of you just has one killer idea about fundraising that has worked in your church, we're going to have 100 great ideas by the time the night is over. So I want to get to the power of the group. But on the way there, what we're going to talk about are what I think are the keys to effective fundraising for youth ministry. And I think it goes something like this. This is like the Late Show, right? The Late Show top 10 list. This is my Late Show because, you know, David Letterman's gone. I'm going to take over. I got it. It's just me now, all right? 10 keys to effective youth ministry fundraising. But actually, it all condenses into one phrase. It's all about people, and it's all about passion. You can see it on all 10. It's all about people, and it's all about passion. People respond, number one, people respond to appeals to passion, not obligation, or worse, to guilt. Number two, people's passion follows their participation. Focus on friend-raising, not fundraising. Number three, people's passion follows their faith convictions. Focus on teaching faithful stewardship, not calculating need. Number four, people are passionate about helping people, not programs. 5, people are passionate about stories, not budgets. Number 6, people love well-selected, spaced, and inspiring traditions. Number 7.
What number 6 mean?
I'm gonna come back to all these, Jared. We're gonna go over all these. I gotta go over all of them because they're all in the final. So I'm gonna go over all of them. Number 7, people love supporting successes, not failures. Number 8, people trust leaders, not programs or even institutions. Number 9, people's hearts respond to personal asks, not mailed packets. And number 10, people love to be appreciated. All right, let's go through these. Let's go to number 1.
Is this on the flash drive?
Excuse me?
Is this on the flash drive?
No, but you're good. So every day, the next day, we're publishing the PowerPoint presentations of the previous day. So today we sent out an email with all of yesterday's PowerPoint. Tomorrow we'll send out an email with all today's PowerPoints, but not the videos. They won't mail. The files are too big, all right? So this will all be available tomorrow. People respond to appeals to passion, not obligation, or worse, to guilt. When the church uses money instead of mission as an approach, it puts the church in competition with prior claim. Prior claims, I call the difference here, the difference between passion and dues. You go to your congregation and say, this is a really important thing to do. You should support this. They'll go, oh, I'm a good person. You know, I'll buy a box of those cookies. Right? Well, I'm a good person. I'll give $50 the United Way. That's dues. I'm a good person. Everybody's asking me for money, so I should do something. That's when you get the $10. Right? That's when you get the $20. You don't want the 10 and the $20. You want the $1,000, right? That's passion. They got to be passionate to give you the $1,000, right? You want to appeal to their passion, not their dues. When the church uses money instead of mission as an approach, it puts the church in competition with prior claim. Prior claim says, my personal possessions and resources are continually under siege by demands of the government. The church is then added to an ever-growing list of entities, including other worthy nonprofit organizations that are attempting to take away personal resources. I got it. I guess I'm a good person. I guess I got to give you something. That's not hard. That's not desire. That's dues. You got to get out of dues and into passion. Okay, number 2. People's passion follows their participation. What they're involved in, they can become passionate about. You can't become passionate about something sitting on your couch. All right? So if you want to have a growing list of folks who are passionate about your youth ministry, enough to have a desire to support you and dig deep to make it possible for what you're doing, you want to draw them into participation so that they can catch the fire and the vision and the mission, the purpose, the values, the BHAG, big, hairy, ugly goal. You need to get them involved. So you can create ministry teams. I want to make this really clear. There's a difference between a ministry team and a governance committee. I don't know about you, but in a lot of churches, people love being on governance committees. They know what that's like. They do that all the time at the PTA, at their business, and their nonprofits. They know about governance committees. I don't do anything. I just show up every 2 meetings out of 3, and then I vote and tell you what to do. We don't need any more of those, right? You got a deacon board, a session, and elders. That's enough governance. What you want are ministry teams. I'm called by God to minister in support of the youth program. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to lift you up with our prayers and our hours and our support, right? A ministry team. I would try to get rid of that committee that votes on what you do and replace it with a ministry team that supports what you do, right? But when they get drawn into the ministry team and engaged in the ministry, they get to see the transformation that's happening in the young people's lives, and they're more likely to also want to support it and tell their friends to support it. Budget committees. You know, there's nothing quite like the conversion experience of someone who actually has to sit and work on the budget committee. As long as they're just sitting in pew 47 and they hear that the youth group wants $1,000, why do they need that? That's so much money. They're just kids. What do we need $1,000 for? But when they're on the budget committee and they have to go, wow, we got 20 kids and the popcorn costs $5 a week, and we want to rent vans for retreat twice a year. That's $300. Then we want to have an opportunity for them to worship, but that means that we want to have a fellowship time after it. Then they say, well, that's going to cost $4,000. Now they realize, having worked on the budget, why and how you need the money and what you need it for. So now they're more prepared to both support it and tell their friends to support it. Parents committee. There is no ministry to children without ministry to parents. Right? Now, this is a hard thing to say in a group of youth ministers, but we had a lecture downstairs in Niebuhr Hall from one of the leading sociologists in youth ministry in the country, Christian Smith from Notre Dame. He had a whole room full of seminarians and youth ministers, and he said, I want you to know that we've been studying this for 5 years. There is no youth group service, there is no sermon, there is no mission trip, there is no association, there is no loving youth group, there is nothing you're ever going to do that will be as influential in these children's lives as parents. Right? Parents are really important. So you want them involved in your ministry. We always would form a parents committee that was invested in the work of the youth group, and as they became more engaged in the youth group, they became more supportive, and they're all sitting with each other at PTA meetings and at school plays and on the soccer sidelines, so they're spreading the word of why this is important. Mentors, Pastor Keith, they have a rocking mentor program at Christian Tabernacle Baptist Church. This is a key to successful youth ministry, is many adults who care deeply about the kids. I was trying to get this vision casting thing lit up, and I said, Pastor Keith, you know what? I'm so invested in working with your church because it's such a great church. You get your lay leaders together, and I'll go see if I can go pick up some catfish dinners so we can all break bread together. I'm thinking I'm on the hook for 4 dinners. He goes, well, Skip, good. We'll meet you on Friday night. There'll be 25 of us. 25 lay leaders. That's got it going on, right? So you get the adults into mentoring of your young people. They become engaged in their lives. They understand the importance of the youth ministry. They're more likely to donate. Chaperones on your trips. You got to well select the chaperones. You don't want the Peter Pan principle. They're just there because they want to be like the kids, or they want to be cool, or recapture their youth. No, but a reasonably well-grounded, faithful-centered adult who walks with the kids, begins to see that something special is going on, and becomes one of your advocates. Visitation and outreach, the ministry on the sidelines. I can't emphasize this enough. The hardest thing that I have persuading really bright Yale Divinity School students to do in youth ministry, go to where the kids are. Youth ministry is not spending all week thinking up your brilliant program to sit in the church fellowship hall and wait for them to come to you. They got an infrared detector in their head. Do you care about me? It's binary. You do or you don't. When you show up at the sideline of the basketball game, the football game, the soccer game, the school play, the concert, you don't have to do it. You just have to sit there. Now, that's great ministry to the kids, but guess who's sitting next to you on either side? Who's on either side? Parents. So you're there for the kid, but you're talking to the parents, right? And that's a ministry to the parents that gets them involved in the program. All right, participation. Number 3. People's passion follows their faith convictions. Focus on teaching faithful stewardship, not calculating need. What you do not want in the pews is, I see that they think they need $100 from each of us to get this done. If I can remember when I go home, I might write a check for $100. Well, what you're going to get is 1/3 of them are going to write a check for $100, and you're going to only have 1/3 of what you need. What you want is teach spiritual grounds of stewardship all year long. Preach stewardship, teach stewardship. This is, God has blessed you with bounty, and it is first fruits, a tithe that you are to give back. You should be giving on the basis of how you've been blessed to express your gratitude, not grudging, right? God loves a cheerful giver. All right, next, number 4. People are passionate about helping people, not programs. We've got a great youth ministry. This is a terrific program. You should support us. Yeah, they should. But their hearts, human hearts, are wired to respond to seeing what's changing in other people's lives. People's lives, not programs' lives. So Clif Christopher writes, people want to make the world a better place to live. They want to believe that they can truly make a difference for the better. There is embedded in us, it seems, a desire to finish out our work on this earth with a sense that we amounted to something. To sum it up, people want to be a part of something that changes lives. Nonprofits and churches have only one thing to sell: changed lives. When they do it well, they are supported, but when they do not do it well, they go out of business. So what you're lifting up in fundraising is the examples of changed lives, all right? Let them see the young people, let them see the young people witnessing and testifying to what they're doing. Let them see individual. Now, when you see a Save the Children Day, I mean, almost anything you see that in direct mail or in magazines, what's the most common way in which these very professional fundraisers have gotten the idea of getting you to donate to something like Save the Children?
Face of a child.
Face of a, this child, save this child. Don't give us your money to a program. This is not the United Way. For $5 a day, this child's life can change. I want to do that, all right? So personalize it with your youth group in your fundraising. People are passionate about stories, not budgets. They want to know you have a budget and you're businesslike and you're effective and you make your budget and you're good with the money and you're thrifty and you're reasonable. But they do not give because you're a budget-making organization. They give because you're a transforming life organization, and that's driven by stories. So you have to lift the stories up, all right? Most of our worship services would be greatly improved if 5 minutes of anything was replaced with 5 minutes of testimony, either video or live each week. Our newsletters and websites would financially become more effective if we would get all the announcements out and substitute one person's testimony of how Christ, through the church, changed his or her life. When we do this, we will be appealing to the #1 reason people give. We will be sharing with them how we are doing our mission and changing lives, right? Changing life. We're wired for other people. We're not wired for institutions and budget. We're wired to respond to what we see going on in other people, and our hearts connect. If you can get somebody reading a magazine to identify with this one picture of a child and go, I want to help. Imagine if it's their child, a child of their church, someone they've seen grow up from the crib, right? That's when you can appeal to the person and the story, all right? Next slide. All right, tell the story, tell the story, tell the story. This is not news, right? Go tell it, right? We need to tell the story. So we tried to make sure we were giving the congregation a way to engage with the youth group and see their stories, never just Youth Sunday. If this is something that once a year you do as Youth Sunday, you're going to lose, right? If this is the Youth Sunday, that's telling the story for 35 minutes one time a year. Right? What you want is you want to integrate the youth into worship early and often. These are our kids. They're in our church. As Pastor King said, one body. We see them. I was at Christian Tabernacle when I was preaching one time. Amazing youth choir singing. Amazing young people reading scripture. The people in the church now can bond with those kids and go, I want to take care and help that child. The one I see and know is part of our family. All right? So integrating youth and worship leadership, regular youth ministry related rituals and litanies. We took every chance we had to include the youth into the regular worship of the church with litanies. We commissioned the youth ministers. We commissioned team leaders and volunteers. We commissioned the senior leaders. We commissioned mission teams. We do have a youth Sunday and we do have a children's Sunday. Lifting up that program and asking the congregation to anoint it with prayer and support. The very best tellers of stories, the most effective tellers of stories are who? The youth themselves, right? The youth themselves. So you want the children to testify in worship services, in videos, in mission sponsor letters, in board and committee meetings, in Facebook and Instagram posts. Our fundraising pivoted so that at the end it was 90% of our funds we raised in a mission sponsor program. We're going on this work project. We'd like to ask you to be a sponsor. If you are a sponsor, two children are going to write you letters of what they're experiencing while we're in the field working. You're going to get it at home, and they're going to tell you from the heart what they've experienced and how they've been transformed. And then when you come back, we're going to ask you to a brunch where you sit with the children and they tell you their stories. You know, the money just kept ratcheting up. All that business about selling chocolate bunnies and magazine subscriptions, that's, let them hear from the children themselves in stories, all right? Let me give you some examples of what I mean by this participation, these stories, making it personal. This is, we would always make a videotape of the mission trip, and then when we had a youth Sunday or when we had a mission sponsor brunch, we would show the parents and all the members of the congregation the video. The context of this is, it was just an amazing blessing that anybody would want their children to be part of. We were on a mission trip to a Latino barrio in the northwest corner of Chicago, Central Christian of Bethesda. The Holy Spirit just dropped down on that gathering of our church and their church. Their church got in buses and came and worshiped us and with us in New Canaan. We went out and worshiped with them. We spent 7 mission trips with them to other destinations, our adults and their adults, our children and their children. So real community happened. This is a final worship service from one of those mission trips, but this is what you show to the parents and the congregation. Now we got to go back.
That was just probably one of the most loving places I've ever been. It was just remarkable to have been there, and I know I'm going to remember that moment for the rest of my life.
Watching all my friends alongside the Bethesda community almost crying their eyes out, I got chills, and it was one of the more amazing things I've ever experienced.
And there was such a sense of unity. It didn't matter who was standing next to you. We were singing, we were hugging, we were dancing, and nothing else seemed to matter but what was going on in the church that day.
I've had the opportunity to participate in a lot of final worships, but I've never been in the presence of such amazing power and energy. Kneeling together, we sang from our hearts. Truly, we had become one.
When the YG community came together with the Bethesda community during the final worship, it was the most spectacular part of the trip. It literally moved me to tears.
Standing in that room, you felt an energy. I mean, the energy was love, and it was God's love pouring out of all of us.
Listening to them sing their thank you to us and then joining them up at the front, it was so special. We had really become one community.
We went to Chicago for 10 days, none of us having any real expectations of what we would encounter. The only thing that we really knew at the end of the trip, we had just experienced something amazing.
You think it's hard to ask people to support that the next year? I want you to help us do that again. I want you to help us reach another 20 children so that 20 more children can go on that trip and have that experience. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to help. All right? Some people help with 25 bucks. Thank you. Some people help with 100 bucks. Thank you. Some people help with more. But they want to help. You got to strike for the desire if you want to raise money. Now here's a gimmick that just came upon me. You can tell by my age I don't know anything about digital media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that. But hey, I got a cell phone. So on a mission trip, I started taking pictures of the kids while we were on the trip. Then I would post them to my Facebook page. Every parent in town wants to be my friend, right? Because they all want to see the pictures of their kids who are doing some work, right? Then they want to share them with their friends. Look what a good kid I have. He's doing a mission trip. Isn't this terrific, all right? So then I would start, well, wait a minute, cell phones got a little more complicated. You could take videos. So during the course of the week, I would just catch kids and say, just tell me what's important to you about what you're experiencing. And every night I would post 10 or 11 of these videos to the Facebook page. The parents would pick them up and pass them around. It was kind of easy to ask those parents to support the youth group the next year, all right? So here's just a little clip. One child, nothing special. I don't know anything about video. I don't know anything about interview. I just stand them up and say, tell me something important. What she's going to talk about is how the unique blessing on this trip was how over 15 years these two congregations had become one. We were partners. We knew each other. Older brothers knew younger brothers. They'd all been connected for 15 years. Parents had been on mission trips. So this is the testimony.
And I'm a senior, and this trip has been different than a lot of the other mission trips I've been on. All of our project sites are in buildings right next to each other and on different floors, so we actually have the chance to walk around and see how other people are progressing, borrow tools or steal tools from each other. And we also get to work alongside people with like Bethesda, so it's been really great working with them. And we had a huge worship service last night where all of us mixed together and sang together. We took our worship team and their church singing team and made one, and then we've also gotten to meet the families that we're building the apartments for. So this is the first time I've actually gotten a personal experience with who is actually going to be living here when we're done. So I think altogether it's been an amazing experience.
Everybody gets it every night. They want to help out. Can you help us do this again next year? I want Carrie to go on a mission trip next year. I need your help. Yeah, desire is the key. All right, let's go to our next one. People love well-selected, spaced, and inspiring traditions. You know, we just pivoted completely out of that. Sell cookies, sell chocolate bars, sell magazines. That's not the mission of your youth group, to be chocolate salesmen. And you don't make that much money anyway. And then the congregation feels you're always hitting them for the $5, right? Have the young people do things that serve the congregation. Let the congregation see that the kids are serving. It's on mission because they're serving something larger than themselves. And the congregation is grateful because they see them living into the Word of God and being part of the body of Christ. So we would always have an all-church pancake breakfast at the annual meeting. The kids would serve the pancakes for 400 or 500 members of the congregation. My single best fundraising ever, mother-daughter banquet. You invite all the mothers and the daughters of the church to come for a banquet on Saturday of Valentine's Day weekend or Saturday of Mother's Day weekend, and you say, get this, moms. This is for you. We're going to serve you. You're going to sit there and be served. And the boys are going to cook. And the boys are going to serve. They'll pay the money just to see the boys do it. So we would always sell out. Always sell out. Plus, it's a great church event. You're on mission. You're not selling chocolate. So mission sponsor brunch, I already talked about that. Support the mission trip. Come sit with the kids. Hear them tell the stories. At the end of the year, we would have a Beacon of Light dinner. We had the youth groups driven down from the high school, then also 7th and 8th grade, and also 5th and 6th grade, also 3rd and 4th grade. Bring all the kids and all their parents together for a celebratory dinner, and let's stand up the 3rd and 4th graders to talk about their program, 5th and 6th graders, 7th and 8th. That means you have parents of 3rd graders beginning to see the arc of the life of formation that you're growing into. And the 3rd graders go, boy, I just saw those high school kids. I want to be like that when I get to high school. So you build this tradition of community, makes it easier to raise money. People love supporting successes, not failures. This notion of, oh, please, we don't have any money. We're having a really hard time with our budget this year. We're not going to be able to have the mission trip, or we're not going to have youth group unless you give. Well, then you're not running your budget very well. And it looks like you're not having a very successful program. That is not a great appeal. Tell them about the beautiful things that are happening, and they can be even more beautiful if they will come alongside and help. All right? Next slide. People trust leaders, not programs or even institutions. This notion of, I went into ministry. I didn't go into ministry to be in politics. I didn't go into ministry to be in fundraising. I didn't go into ministry to get into all. Yes, you did. That's ministry. So you are the visionary leader of the group. You should be the one most passionate about the youth ministry. If you think you can offload fundraising to somebody who's not in the leadership of the youth group, that's very hard. The passion for the group, if they trust you, if they believe in what you're doing, if they feel about you the way Christian Tabernacle feels about Pastor Keith, and when Pastor Keith says, I need some help, they want to give their Pastor Keith help, not the youth group help, right? So leaders, not programs or even institutions. People's heart respond to personal asks, not mailed packs. Wouldn't it be great if you could just write a nifty letter, take some pictures, put it in an envelope, send them off, and the money would come in? It's just not the way people work. They like to be asked, all right? They like to be asked personally. I want to tell you why I think this is so important. I want to tell you why I think we are changing lives. I want to tell you why I think this is so critical for our kids, and I need your help. Do you think you could help us? And then make a specific, concrete ask. If you ask for $500 and that's too much, they'll tell you, right? But if you leave it open or you ask too little, they'll give you the $50 and be really glad that it was only $50, right? So try to understand what the right amount is, and if they say, I don't think I can do that, then you say, well, can you tell me what would be appropriate for you? You'll do better than if you shoot low, but you have to ask, all right? People's heart respond to personal asks. We did that as a quotation, and we're not going to go. People love to be appreciated. You know what? Thank you, thank you, thank you. The idea of asking people to support your youth group and then not sending them a thank you letter? Oh, what are you kidding? Or asking them to support your youth group and then sending them a form letter? It's not even good enough to have it personally addressed, which it always must be, and signed in ink by you. Always put a personal note. I want to tell you, we couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much for your faithful support. That matters to people. Have the kids thank them. Thank them from the pulpit. Thank them in letters. Thank them in phone calls. Thank them when you see them on the sidelines. So we have thank yous from the leaders. We have thank you letters from the youth, and we have the mission sponsor brunch.